Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Melanin Margin, the weekly chat show where conversations about race are never off the table. I'm your host, Quaviondre Williams.
And I'm Daquon Wilson. Let's talk about the controversy surrounding Doja Cat and her AMA wins. The American Music Awards recently awarded Doja Cat with favorite female soul slash R&B artist and favorite soul slash R&B album for Planet Her, beating out other nominated artists such as her, SZA, Jasmine Sullivan, and Janae Aiko. However, many Twitter users questioned Doja's inclusion as a nominee for this genre. Content creator and influencer Denzel Dion tweeted, "I don't know why they keep her in this category knowing damn well she is pop." Another Twitter user, Steph, called out the AMAs for having a larger race issue, tweeting, "Just because someone's black doesn't mean their music is automatically R&B slash soul." And like, we're tired of having to have this conversation, like more microaggressions and stereotypes. But I want to pass this conversation to you. Do you think that the music industry has a problem with just labeling all music made by black artists as R&B and soul?
Absolutely. It's honestly so fucking stupid. Like, it's crazy that, like, these awards, and I mean, honestly, this doesn't really surprise me because the truth is, we know that, the Oscars, Grammys, AMAs, all these places are oftentimes run by white people. They're the ones making those decisions, and they see black music as being only able to fit into one of two categories, R&B or rap. That's about it. And they see black people as only being able to contribute to those particular categories. What I think is incredibly racist too is the fact that white people are able to go across all categories without question. And we are not afforded that same regard. Like, the first thing I think about is Lil Nas X, when his song Old Town Road came out, and they didn't. I think it was the Country Music Awards. People didn't want to recognize that as a country song because the rap undertones in it. And I'm kind of like, since when was music just one thing?
Right.
Since when was it just because it was a black man? And it was. But I will say one thing: Billy Ray Cyrus, I got to give him props to it because I mean, he came through. Because he was like, this is obviously a country song, y'all dumbass racist people. So he was like, okay, say it's not country now that I'm with it. And so he was actually exercising his privilege and tried to and shared that privilege with a black person to help showcase the fact that, oh yes, honey, this is exactly what it is. It is country music. But the fact that he even had to do that in the first place is a problem.
Right.
The fact that it took a white person having to say, hey, this is country, and hey, I'm a country music singer saying this is country music, and I'm going to get on the song to make y'all know it's country, to help it become country. It's like, or help it be recognized as country. That's a problem. That's a problem. Beyonce's Daddy Lessons, wasn't that also one that was critiqued too by the country awards to say, oh, that's not, we don't know if we want to recognize that. Am I right or wrong about that?
I feel like you're right. I'm not sure 100%, but like, it sounds right.
It's yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think even if it wasn't necessarily directly challenged by them, it was challenged by the people voting and the people in the community because they were like, "Oh no, that's not country music," and it's only because Beyonce's black. It's only because of that. That's the only reason why. And so I think that it's absolutely a big problem to categorize all black music as R&B and soul. It is problematic on so many different levels because they want to pigeonhole us and put us in a box of what we can and can't create. They want to put us in a box of saying that this is all that we're able to give you. This is all that, here we go, this is all we think that you're worthy of receiving. And having us be able to break down those barriers and having to get through, it's kind of like we can make our own award shows, and we have our own award shows and good stuff like that. But like, the fact that we are still in the major awards shows and ceremonies, like the Oscars so white and the Grammys so white and all that good stuff, it's like, it's just, well, all that bad stuff. It's just like over and over and over again, we see there's a problem. The reason why is, and we know the reason. The reason is because the people in charge of voting on it, the committee, the people in the background, the people making the big decisions are usually all white men and women. And so and this goes back to our conversation about Sneakerella, it's like, if you don't have people of color in those spaces to help make accurate depictions of that story or accurate depictions of that song or saying like what it is. It's kind of like one conversation with another Black person would let you know that song that Doja Cat made was she's a pop artist. Or they are one conversation with a Black person that said Lil Nas X's song, even us in the Black community, like that's country. That's country. That's fully
Right.
country music. It don't get no more country than that. But again, it's because they do not allow us in those spaces to make the decisions. It's one thing for it to be to have people hosting it that are Black or in the rooms that are Black. But the reality is the people making the decisions on who wins the award, who gets nominated, and what category they get nominated in are usually all white men and women, and they make those decisions.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like if I just think about Doja Cat as an artist in general, the first genres I'm going to think about is pop and rap.
Yes.
Because like that's who Doja Cat is. Like I wouldn't consider her a soul artist or R&B artist like Jasmine
No.
Sullivan is. Like
No.
completely different sounds. And so like it really makes me believe that whoever was like creating the nominees list was just like Black woman, we're going to put her here. Because like how do you listen to something like Planet Her and like not recognize the different like sure she's like one of those overarching kind of musicians where she kind of breaks the boundaries of genres, but like she's not R&B and soul. Like it's one of those things that it's crazy because when you think about how Black people literally created like all of the music genres that we are deemed popular now in America, like started with Black music. And yet still white people love to pigeonhole Black people into one of two categories. And it's one of those things where if you listen to the music, if you were actually in tune with who the artist was and what they do, like you wouldn't be making these silly little stupid mistakes. So it's incredibly frustrating because you also see so many Black artists whose work kind of goes unrecognized because of what's happening with how they deal with categories in music. So like someone like Jasmine's I'm listen, it may sound like I'm a Jasmine Sullivan stan. I will stand for Jasmine Sullivan because her music is amazing. But like
she is the
she
moment.
should
I
have
mean,
won.
come on now.
Come on now. Like, I don't know why you're gagging. She brings it to you every time. But I really think that like there is this like level of just like not caring about Black people in these award shows. And it's also kind of confusing because like why didn't they put her in rap? Like if we're thinking about the one of two categories, I think that a lot of times they see rap as being like this very aggressive, very just like overtly sexual thing. And like, sure, Doja Cat has those types of songs, but I think that they see Doja Cat as being too tame for rap. And I think that's also very problematic in perpetuating this notion that rap and, you know, Black music always has to be overly aggressive and overly sexualized and all of this because you're then just like making those same assumptions about the people who create that music.
Exactly. I think that and I think there's even another nuance there of the fact that, like, you know, people think that artists have to stay in one area. So, like,
Right.
let's say that Doja Cat did make a R&B and soul, and that's where she started. But, like, you know, she decided that's not the sound that she wanted, so she decided to transition to more of a pop, you know, rap sound. And it's kind of like not recognizing the transition of an artist's journey. I think that's also problematic in its own right too, because you're pigeonholing them or typecasting them as a certain type of performer when artists shift and change over time and they grow and they explore different avenues of their sound until they find their voice. And so I think that it's kind of it's frustrating because we're not recognizing the fact that, you know, there is crossover.
Right.
You know, there is that idea of like, okay, this like songs can be both rap and country or pop and R&B or rap and pop or whatever the case may be. And I think that there's not enough room for that crossover, and then adding the fact that they already don't want to have artists like adding the fact that even just regular artists, like taking out race out of the equation, even just artists in general, like the fact that once you get known for something, that's all that people want to see from you. And you're essentially not allowed to do anything differently. And so adding race into that also, not only is it like, it's kind of like a double whammy, a double whammy on that one. Because not only do they not expect artists to be able to do anything different, but now they only expect Black artists to make R&B and soul music. So it's two levels to it on that case.
Yeah, and it's incredibly frustrating because, like, good music is genre breaking. Like,
Yeah.
good
Oh,
music
yes.
has aspects of so many different genres, and I think that when you have an artist like Doja Cat, like, you can tell the different influences she's had. She's not just like, she has some type of R&B and soul influence, but if you listen to a song like Get Into It, yeah, like, you can see like Nicki Minaj's influence when she literally
Yes.
shouts her out. And so it's frustrating because all of those nuances, like we're talking before, when we think about Blackness and we think about Black art and Black culture, there is so many nuances to it. And so when you lose those nuances, when you lose those different connections and how different styles and creativity overlap and combine to be something that like doesn't fit into one mode, you're essentially flattening it and just being like, oh, it can only be one. Like, no, it can't. It can be way more.
And I just want to know why there isn't a crossover category. You know what I mean? Like in these music awards, like Grammys and AMAs, country music, or whatever case may be, why isn't there a crossover category? Like a song that, like, even though it may not sound, a certain, it's not obviously country or obviously rap or obviously pop or R&B or whatever it is. Why isn't there a genre called crossover sound? Do you know what I
Because
mean? Like,
Black
why?
people started that. Like, if
Huh?
we're being honest, Black people started that, so they're not going to want to recognize it. Because, like, seriously though, like when you think about Black music, especially when you think about like pop artists, collaborating with rap artists and how that kind of blends itself into their music, or pop artists collaborating with R&B artists, and these R&B artists collaborating with rappers. And so like having those multi-dimensional types of genres,
Yeah.
they're not going to recognize it.
And like, now that you bring it up too, it's so like Childish Gambino is one of the first people that comes to my mind when it comes to that, because like he took a song from Adele. It was like he sampled a song from her, and it was like the words that I'm not gonna sing it too much because I don't want to get copyrighted, but you know what I'm like. But like, I ain't trying to get a copyright strike on the channel, but that song, he used that song and he added like a rap element to it, and he had the song and hit that verse kind of repeat, and we see that a lot in like in Black culture. In Black music, we'll see a lot of times, especially in rap too, we'll see a lot of taking old music and bringing it back in style. Like,
Sampling. Sampling.
Yes, but in a way that's more obvious, I would say, than other sampling that I've noticed, because there are people who sample other music from other races, but like I think that with Black people we do it, and I think that there's a different way that we do it that just makes people want to listen to the old song too. You know what I mean? Like it's a resurgence, because I've seen sampling in other races, but it's just something, I don't know, just different when it hit with us. Because like I remember seeing, I forgot what that song. I think it was, what was it? I think it was Kanye West who did the girl, I love you. That one right there. And he did the rap song like that. And we went back and people went back to listen to Lenny Williams' original song and stuff like that. Like, it's just the way that we create this crossover, the way that we create that nuance and that like that genre bending music, and which is basically what music is, and that kind of breaking down those barriers. It's so amazing. It's so phenomenal. And I just wish that there was something that was able to recognize the fact that sometimes music doesn't fit in a box. It's not going to fit as pop, and stop trying to make it fit as she's a pop artist, she's a R&B artist, she's a this artist, a country, a blah, blah, whatever. It's like, let people experiment. Let people go out and let people just recognize talent. Recognize talent and effort in that work, in that genre bending and that crossover work, and let that be, its own category. Let that be its own kind of thing. But like you said before, we created it. So they ain't about to give us no acknowledgement about that.
Right.
So, and it's just like I said before, I really hope that we can see a change in that, because it would be really nice to see people recognize crossover and genre bending music as a valid form, and give people their flowers.
Or this may be a crazy idea. Why do we have so many categories in the first place? Why do we have all these categories? Why not get rid of them?